Luke on money. I remember a homily from many, many years ago where the priest pointed out that Jesus talks more about money than any other moral topic in the New Testament, far more than sex, by the way. Well, here he goes again. Today's gospel contains the parable of the unjust steward, which appears only in Luke. For my money, Luke always exhibits a better, more realistic grasp of money matters than the other evangelists. Recall only a few Sundays ago when he dealt with the rich fool, another story told only in Luke, who had so much grain that he decided to tear down his existing barns and in their place build bigger ones in Luke chapter 12. Today we hear of a steward, a property manager, who, upon learning that he is about to be fired for dishonesty, engages in another and bigger act of dishonesty. He fraudulently writes down a pair of debts owed by others to his master. To our surprise, Jesus tells us that the master commends the steward for his prudence. Now, Luke, who was probably a Gentile, used the Greek word phronimos, or prudence, because he apparently did not know the Yiddish word chutzpah, but there you have it. As you will doubtless hear at church, Jesus isn't telling us to be dishonest. But look at what he does say in the next few verses. Quote, I tell you, make friends for yourselves with dishonest wealth, so that when it fails, which in the Greek is actually when you fail, you will be welcomed into eternal dwellings. Luke 16:9. In other words, use whatever wealth you have to make friends, not to hoard it. Remember again the rich fool who built the bigger barns rather than give away some of his excess grain. Now, the next verses are also a bit confusing, but we can sort them out. Quote, the person who is trustworthy in very small matters is also trustworthy in great ones, and the person who is dishonest in very small matters is also dishonest in great ones. Luke 16:10. The confusing thing here is that Jesus seems to specifically urge us to be honest, which is exactly what the steward wasn't. But if we accept the possibility that these verses were originally part of separate discourses by Jesus, which Luke just stitched together because they all relate to money, we see Jesus' bigger point that wealth or possessions are very small matters. And despite that, how we deal with wealth in this world will be reflected in the next, or as we moderns would put it, how we deal with little things reveals our character as much as how we deal with big things. I think most employers know this about their employees very well. I just love how intensely practical Luke is in his approach to life. There's no call here for martyrdom or perfection. Simple prudence will do, a simple recognition that the prudent way to use the small things in this life, money and possessions and even good health, is to use them for the benefit of others.